What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Umineko episode 4. In the previous recording session, quite a bit happened. I'm trying to remember honestly exactly what all went down. I know right now we're dealing something with Angie in the present day. I know that much for sure. There was a whole moment where Angie was going through Maria's diary, and she was having a conversation with like Maria's spirit at the same time. It was something like that. And then like you saw like opposing sides looking at like two different, perspectives looking at this one event. Maria tries to see the optimism and everything. Angie was incredibly pessimistic and all that. Then there was the thing where Maria was accepted as a witch's apprentice, and her little stuffed animal became a person. I'm kind of been lost. I'm not gonna lie. If you were paying attention to the last recording session, anyway, towards the end there, I got kind of lost as to just where everything was going, what the flow of everything was. It just felt like all of a sudden we're doing this now. It's like, okay, now all of a sudden we're over here doing this now, and it's just. I know right now in this moment where I'm pretty sure anyway. I actually don't know for sure because this is a new scene. I think this is something with Angie in the present day of, well, not present day as in, what is it, 98? It's 12 years later, right? So 98? Yeah, 98. That's all I know for sure. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the actual story of this episode right now, but those are the events I remember from the previous recording session. So without further ado, let's continue.
1987年4月のことです。私は友人からある奇妙な依頼を受けました。とある大富豪の遺品である蔵書が大量に競売にかけられていて、その一部に民族学的にも考古学的にも、あるいはオカルト的な意味でも極めて価値の高いものが含まれていると思われる、その価値を内密に見てほしいというのです。
87年、六軒島での事件の半年後。
さようです。それらの蔵書は六軒島での難を逃れたものと説明されていました。それを島の所有者である後宮エバ氏が競売に出したというのです。
This was apparently a high-class restaurant. A middle-aged man was sitting across from Angie in a secluded and quiet seat. Moxa could be seen by the entrance. He was probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Sumadera family. Oh. That's quite the face you got there, sir. You have very, pronounced cheekbones there. Wow. Okay. The scholar man across from Angie spoke politely, but with enthusiasm. He didn't lay a finger on the food in front of him, so you could tell how excited he was as he spoke fervently. He was a professor at a certain college and particularly well known as an authority on Western folklore. However, among his life works, that was only a convenient exterior. His true life work was the study of occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and everything else to do with the occult, as well as demonology. In short, he was the person in the best position to understand the details of Kinzo's research.
まず蔵書を鑑定して分かったことは、後宮エバ氏には民族学的な教養は全くなく、
What I learned is that Ava is kind of fucking stupid.
そしてその蔵書の本来の持ち主である後宮金蔵氏は、日本で五子に入る悪魔学の権威であったことは間違いないということです。
Wow, you actually had a lot more to say than I realized. April 1987. A major city antique shop obtained a large quantity of ancient documents that were thought to have a high historical value. They were entrusted with them by Ushiromiya Eva, who wanted them to be sold at auction. At the time, it was thought that Eva would succeed the Ushiromiya family and have all the wealth to herself as the only survivor. However, at that point, not even a half a year had passed since the accident, and the others had not been missing long enough to be presumed dead, even under extraordinary circumstances. because of that, Ava had supposedly been in a very tight spot financially, unable even to collect on her family's life insurance. It seemed she tried to sell everything of value. And even the books kept in the place where she'd escaped harm in Kuwadorian were used for this purpose. These old books, which would eventually be called the Ushiromiya Library, were later gathered from antique shops by authorities in the field so that they could be appraised, and those authorities were astounded.
少なくとも神秘学の見地から言えば、その発見が世界に与えた衝撃は司会文書発見にも匹敵するものでした。後宮蔵書にはなんと1000年以上にもわたる間、その存在だけが知られているにもかかわらず、発見されていなかった数々の極めて重要な文献さえ含まれていたからです。
The many dreams of the occult, such as those represented by alchemy, always stirred an intense fascination in dilettantes. It is whispered that many magic books of great historical value currently unknown to the public might be in the secret possession of extremely wealthy lovers of the occult. Items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular among dilettantes, are said to be prime examples of this. It is said that approximately 5,000 pages of these notebooks currently exist, that over 10,000 have been lost. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be monopolized by certain enthusiasts and members of the extremely rich. It is said that because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away and unannounced notebooks. There's probably no doubting that Ushiromiya Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. No one knows what Kinzo went through to obtain those. But there can be no mistake that he used his vast wealth freely, buying them off other rich people with the same hobby as him. Those books, which were so valuable that enthusiasts could never satisfy their desire to hoard them away, were discovered in large numbers at the end of the 20th century. And their release to the public had given the entire world a massive shock.
この一件により、六軒島の名は全世界に知れ渡ることになります。そして同時に、六軒島の事故によって、未発見のさらに価値ある蔵書が大量に失われた可能性が高いことも、全世界に衝撃を与えました。これにより、六軒島と後宮蔵書の名は、我々にとって生涯忘れないものとなったのです。
Well, isn't that nice? Our memories. That hour probably meant the occult neck of the woods, the same hobby as Kinzo. Because of that incident, the name of Rokkenjima had taken on a vital meaning in the world of the occult. There certainly had been a lot of reporting about the accident on Rokkenjima itself, but not on an international level. However, this one part had spread across the world, taking the image of Rokkenjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago and painting it over as demonic island where riddles, suspicion, mystery, and the occult met. Okay. Who was it? Was it Maria? Or it was either Maria or Angie who said something about the truths of the future override the truths of the past, something like that. And that's why we don't know, we're not able to see what truly happened on those nights, because in the modern day, the present day, the modern truth is that it's, a demonic island with these, riddles, suspicion, mystery, and, the occult shit that fits what we have seen thus far with the last few episodes. Interesting. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked to the public by Eva, Rokkenjima had been merely a nameless island that no one could remember, and certainly not the island of a witch. However, when knowledge of the Ushiromiya library spread all over the planet, Rokkenjima's image immediately took on an occult twist.
そして、そこへ起こるのが例のメッセージボトル事件です。これがあの島を魔女の島に変えた。伊豆諸島の無名の小島がオカルトの島へ、そして謎の魔女ベアトリーチェの島へと変遷していったのです。後宮蔵書とメッセージボトル、 このどちらが欠けても六軒島魔女伝説は成り立たなかったと言えます。
メッセージボトル。
Yep.
はい。空の瓶に手紙を封印し海に投じるという、無人島から SOS を発信するというのが有名ですが、自らの死後に真実を告白するという時間差的な遺書としても知られるようになりました。六軒島メッセージボトル事件はまさにこの後者だったのです。
近くの島の漁師が拾っていたというやつですね。
さようです。式根島の若い漁師が手紙入りのワインボトルを拾っていた。この若い漁師は興味本位からそれをたまたま保管していました。それが後宮蔵書で六軒島が世界的注目を浴びたため公表したというのです。
その漁師による捏造の可能性は？
もちろんその可能性も否定できませんでした。ワインボトル内のノート片には後宮家のとある人物の署名がされていました。後宮マリアという。しかし彼女の遺品の肉質から別人の筆跡であることが確認されました。
Oh. Interesting.
別人の筆跡？
さようです。少なくとも少女より達筆で年齢のある人物によって書かれたことは疑いようがないでしょう。
Interesting. So was Maria's letter in a bottle something to throw people off of Ava's trail? But then again, I'm certain he's gonna bring that up next, is like they then would compare it to Ava, the only survivor. So then who...
彼女の名を語っ
that's the question,
た何者かが執筆した可能性が極めて高かったのです。よってこの時点ではノート片の内容の信憑性は薄いと考えられました。
However, later on it was confirmed that a similar message bottle had been recovered from the nearby ocean on the day of the accident by the police in their search for lost articles, and this caused a sensation.
警察は現場の状況とボトルの封印状況から事故直前の数日以内に投棄したものと判断したようです。また双方の筆跡は一致しました。これにより漁師の発見したノート片の信憑性が増すこととなりました。
That's all part of the plan, though.
メッセージボトルの内容については週刊誌などが繰り返し報道しているようですが、
いいえ、一応知っていますので。
Many scraps of paper had been stuffed into both of the wine bottles. It was an extensive notebook written by someone calling themselves Ishirame Maria, but who wasn't Maria, and which told of the events starting the day before the accident, up until the day of the accident in a diary-like way. And its contents had been the beginning of the Witch's Legends serial murder incident, as well as the Golden Witch Beatrice's puzzle.
この奇妙な日記風式には台風で島に釘付けにされた後宮家の親族たちが魔女復活の儀式に巻き込まれ、次々に不可解な方法で殺されていく様子が記されていました。そして最後に黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェがよみがえり、
And that's the
全
modern
てを
truth.
黄金鏡に飲み込む。まるでそれこそが当日の全容であるかのように
And
記され
that's
て
why
い
we
まし
see it
た。
that way.
また当時の島の状況についても非常に詳しく描写されており、後宮家に勤務したことがある元の使用人たちは間違いなく内部に詳しい人間が書いたに違いないと証言しました。
そのおかしな幻想小説と後宮蔵書以降のオカルトブーム、そして結局は真相は闇の中という3つが合わさり、
さようです。すでに10年以上が経過した事件ですが、未だに世界のオカルトマニアの関心を集めています。いや、むしろ時間を得てますますに深刻化されたと言って上陸禁止になっている六軒島に密かに上陸しようというマニアも未だに多いとか。未だ未発見のメッセージボトルがあるのではないか。そしてあの日、あの島で本当は何があったのか。 未だに議論はつきませんとも。
As though he had finally remembered that been going on and on for some time, the man took a gulp of water. His potage was getting... Potage? Potage? I'm guessing it's potage. His potage was getting cold, but it seemed that the man's hunger had already been blown away.
確か漁師のノート編と警察のノート編で内容が全く違うと聞きましたが。
さようです。このせいで六軒島ミステリーはさらに面白みが増したのです。2つのボトルの中身はどちらも事故前日から当日までを記した日記風の式です。
Wait, so there were two messages, two bottle messages, each with a different account of how the day went. So I'm guessing the first bottle accounts day 1, the second bottle accounts day 2, or potentially 3, I don't know. It would have to be day 2, because that would be the only other one that Maria saw through till the end. Interesting.
しかしその内容は共に前日から当日を記した内容であり、にもかかわらず内容は
I'm
全
guessing that
く異なっ
explains
た
what
の
we
です。
witnessed in episode 2.
まるでどちらかが真実でどちらかが虚偽のように、あるいは両方とも虚偽なのかもしれない。
Uh-huh.
しかし始まりと終わりだけは一致するのです。
Right. It ends with everyone dying.
始まりは親族たち18人は台風で島に閉じ込められた。
Yes.
そして終わりは全員が死に黄金の魔女がよみがえり、全ては黄金鏡に飲み込まれる。
So I'm guessing, yeah, the first 2 episodes were what were depicted in those message bottles, and then what we're seeing now is like the true timeline. I don't fucking know, but in the sense that, you know, we're still seeing it as like a witch's ceremony, but it's closer to what what actually happened rather than, you know, the flip side. Because obviously Angie and her whole predicament with Ava wouldn't be a thing if, you know, it continued off of the first 2 episodes, because Ava dies in those. So the 3rd episode was what truly happened, I'm guessing. It was like the actual events of what happened there, but told through, you know, the use of, you know, witches and demons and whatnot, because that's how the modern day views what happened there. That's what I'm getting out of this right now. Interesting. The contents of both message bottles wrote about the events of the day before the accident and the day of the accident, but the details were completely different. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of the sacrifices, the ways they died, and even the tale of the 2 days were different. However, in both, everyone died in the end and the witch revived, making for the same general plot.
あの島で何があったのか。唯一の生存者である後宮エバ氏が沈黙していた以上、あの2日間の出来事は全てが闇の中です。この2つの日記はその闇を埋める仮説をこともあろうか、どちらの日記でも2日間を説明できる。しかしどちらが正しいのか、あるいは正しいことが含まれているのかさえわからないのです。
Schrodinger's cat box. If it isn't denied, even a mixture of truth and fiction can be the truth. Through the media, these scraps of paper had of course been shown to Ava as well, but in the end, she never broke her silence.
誰が何のためにメッセージボトルを？
事件10周年特集を組んだ雑誌が以前大々的に取り上げたでしょう。あの仮説が今日では最も支持を集めているようです。 しかし面白みには欠け
No,
る。
no, no. Let me hear the dull answer. I'm
あの
curious.
島であの日何が起こったのか、それを考えるのがウィッチハ
I
ン
don't
ト
give
の
two fucks about
醍
the
醐味
witch.
な
I
の
want
で
the
すな。
truth.
ウィッチハント？
ああ、ロッキン島ウィッチハントとは、この事件の真相をオカルトの側面から説明しようと試みるマニアの集いのことです。
And like you said, that's the theory that's garnering the most support or whatever. How do you... Yeah. That theory seems to be the one garnering the most support lately. And it's the one that people are trying to explain the truth from an occult perspective. Thus, that being the modern truth.
後宮蔵書から謎の2日間、そして黄金の魔女の伝説など、ロッケン島に関わる謎は今でもマニアの間で盛んに議論されているのです。10周年の時にはニューヨークで国際コンベンションも開かれました。私も日本の代表として参加してきましてね、海外の熱心なウィッチハンターと様々な交流をしてきましたよ。海外では魔女はとても人気のあるカテゴリーでしてね、参加者の年齢幅も下は小学生から上は著名な文化人まで実に幅広い。日本でも近年ようやく。
You probably don't need any more explanation, but he's one of the most famous Rokkenjima witch hunters in Japan. Even though I didn't ask anything more, he kept continuing on excitedly all by himself. As I swirled the thin film of my potage with my spoon, I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Looks like researching about the message bottle really was a waste of time. No. There's one thing I've found. It's that the notebook supposedly written by Maria One-chan was actually written by a different person faking her name. And that person wrote up an occult legend on their own, put it into the bottle as though it was the truth, and threw it into the sea. I have a question. Why would they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With the message bottle, there'd be no guarantee that it ever passed into anyone's hands. If their luck had been bad, it could have sunk in the ocean, never to be seen by anyone. And even if someone had picked it up, they might not have cared about it and thrown it away. Why would they entrust their confession of the truth to the sea with such an uncertain method? And why would they write up multiple differing tales? If there had been one message bottle claiming that its story was the truth might be reckless. If there had been one message bottle claiming that its story was the truth might be reckless, but not impossible. However, because there were two, that made both of them doubtful. If someone was planning to make out those 2 days to be the work of a witch, then they really did go one step too far. And because there were two, it suggests that an undiscovered third one, or possibly even more, might exist. In other words, the two different contents makes both of them harder and harder to swallow. But despite that, the contents both matched in that they told of a witch in a tale. So is that the main point the writer wanted to get across to us? It seems to me that the only possible explanation is that someone who wanted to give rise to an illusion of a witch carried out this crime for their own enjoyment. However, the 17 people other than Aneva lost their lives, and a vast wealth, or maybe even 10 tons of gold, had been moved around secretly in the darkness. It doesn't feel right for a confession occurring after all that to bring up this illusion of the witch. Even if we ignore the magazine's theories, it's very doubtful that the message bottle really was a diary. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It's hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder like that would be able to calmly write it down. Yeah, no shit. Writing whole-ass novels while you're about to get fucking murked. In that case, it's probably more realistic that this diary was written slowly over a long period of time up until the day prior to the accident. In that case, would it mean that everything on Rokkenjima was a planned crime, with everything prepared for over a long stretch of time? I wouldn't doubt it. The fact that Aneva left this world without saying anything is infuriating. She definitely said it on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling me the truth was because it was her best way of harassing me. Yeah, by now it's painfully obvious. Of all the things Aneva did to harass me, this is probably the last and the greatest. But thinking of it this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aneva is the true culprit. Huh? Excuse me? What you mean by that? Who would the true culprit be then? Oh, of the messages? Of course, that's not because the handwriting on the message bottle was different from Aunt Ava's or anything like that. It's because in both tales that were discovered, Aunt Ava was included among the victims. If the writer of that diary was the culprit, maybe Aunt Ava was also one of the targets to be killed. Maybe Aunt Ava survived because something went wrong. Oh. Interesting. 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 Because I hated Aunt Ava, I came to believe that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottle makes me suspect that the mastermind is a far more profound and unknown person than her. Okay. Okay.